Hello friends, and welcome to Butterfly Meadows Home and Farm. Today I am making our Christmas quiche. You could make this quiche recipe and impress all your friends and family. I make quiche every Christmas Eve and we have it for breakfast on Christmas morning. If you've never had quiche, quiche originated in Germany. It became popular in France. Quiche it's made of eggs. It's in a pie crust. Some people make a egg casserole, breakfast casserole with eggs, where they will scramble up some eggs and add in things that you would normally eat for breakfast and bake it, and that makes a casserole. But that is not quiche. Quiche has a very different texture. Quiche is very creamy and very soft in texture. I think you will really like it. You can make it ahead of time for that special occasion. The first thing we want to do is make our pie crust. To make your pie crust, you're going to need some all-purpose flour, some kind of a fat, either Crisco or butter or margarine, some really cold water. And I've had this butter in the freezer chilling for about 30 minutes. But you want your fat to be cold, very cold, and cut into small pieces. And you want to use all-purpose flour. You don't want to use bread flour or a high gluten flour, because what makes a pie crust nice and flaky is low gluten. So we don't want to activate the gluten. That's why we have everything chilled. So I have 2 cups of flour here. I'm not going to use all of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put about 1.5 cups of flour on my cutting board. And then I'm going to cut my fat into it. And I'm using this chopper because I am trying not to touch the flour and the butter, because I don't want to get it warm. Because when the flour gets warm, that's when the gluten starts to activate. So we're also going to want to add a little sugar and a little salt to our flour and butter mixture. So I'm going to add about maybe a tablespoon of sugar and about a teaspoon of salt, because you want your crust to have a little bit of flavor. Now I'm going to start adding water. I'm probably going to need anywhere from 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of water. And I've had this in the refrigerator, so it's really cold. You only want to get it wet enough to stick together. Just about there. Okay. Now I want to form my dough into a ball. And at this point I can tell if I have enough water in my dough. I actually think I need a little more. So now I'm going to roll my pie crust out. I want to make sure I roll it out a little bigger than my pie pan, trying to get it as round as possible. That's not exactly round, but it is bigger than my pie pan. So what I'm going to do is fold it up. Then I'm going to place it in my pie pan. Okay, and now I'm going to cut off the extra. So I'm just going to use a pair of kitchen shears and cut the extra off. And I have my oven preheated to 400 because I am going to pre-bake the pie crust just a little bit. And you can get just as fancy or not as you want with your edges. I'm not going for fancy, just a little scallop. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the oven for just a few minutes. I don't want it to get completely brown, but I want it to bake a little bit. so that it's nice and crispy all the way through. So now I want to talk about the filling of our quiche. And you can put almost anything you want inside of a quiche. The main ingredients is eggs and a full fat milk. You can use whole milk, you can use half and half, you can use heavy cream, whatever you want to use, but it needs to be a full fat milk. You want a 1-to-2 ratio of your eggs and your milk. 1 egg to a half a cup of milk, because 1 egg is about 1/4 of a cup. So 1 egg to a half a cup of milk. And it takes about 3 eggs and a cup and a half of milk to fill a 9-inch pie shell. I'm going to use 3 eggs and a cup and a half of milk, and we're going to mix that together. But then you can also put inside of your quiche anything you want. You can put sausage, ham, bacon, cheese, vegetables, spinach. A lot of people put spinach in their quiche. You can put just about any kind of filling in it you want. You just don't want to use anything that's really liquidy, because that's going to throw your ratio off. In mine, I'm going to put peppers and onions, and I had some sausage left over from breakfast, and I have crumbled it, and I have some shredded sharp cheese. First, I am going to saute these peppers and onions because I want to make sure they're cooked, and I think it gives them a better flavor. And I'm sorry if you hear snoring. It is my dog Dolly sleeping in the living room, and she snores very loudly. So first, let's saute these peppers and onions. And I'm going to add just a little bit of sugar. It's probably a half a teaspoon. And that just helps draw out the natural sweetness in the peppers and the onion and gives them a wonderful flavor. I'm going to add just a little water to help them cook, and it'll cook off. So it just kind of helps them to cook. And I have 1 medium onion, and I have bell pepper and banana pepper. I'm not sure how much. I had them in the freezer. It's about a half a cup of peppers. But I may not put all of this into my quiche. I may only put part of it, and I'll save the rest for making omelets. While that's cooking, I'm going to check on my pie shell. It looks great. Now you want to preheat your oven to 350. So now we have our peppers and onions sauteed, and we have our pie crust out of the oven. Okay, so now we have our peppers and onions sauteed, and our pie crust is pre-baked. We are going to mix together our eggs and our cream and our milk. So I'm going to use 3 eggs. And I have 3/4 of a cup of eggs. And I want a cup and a half of milk. So I'm going to whisk together my eggs and my milk. And we don't want to beat them. We're not trying to make it frothy or anything. We just want to mix it well. So now we're going to add in our add-ins. That was probably about a cup of sausage. And here's my cheese. Probably going to put about a half a cup of cheese. You don't have to measure exact. If you like it, put a lot. If you're just okay with it, just put a little. I could probably put all those peppers and onions, but I'm not going to. And at this point, you're going to want to add your salt and your pepper. And I'm not going to add a lot of salt because the cheese is pretty salty. Just a little pepper. My sausage is hot, so I don't want too much pepper. Now I just have a baking pan lined with parchment paper, and I put my pie crust on it. That way if it spills over, then I don't have a mess in the oven. And you want to fill it pretty full. And that is going to turn out just perfect. Now I have my oven preheated to 350, and this is going to bake about 45 to 55 minutes. And we're going to check it when it gets close to that 45 minutes. And what you want is you want it to barely have a jiggle in the center. You don't want to overcook it. So we'll try to show you that when it gets to that point. I'm not sure if I can or not, but I'll try. Okay, it's been 45 minutes. It's been 45 minutes, and we're going to check to see how done our quiche is. And I'm going to do that by kind of jiggling it. See how there's just a little jiggle? So we have our quiche out of the oven. It looks absolutely beautiful. I'm going to let it cool, and then we'll cut a piece and show you what the inside looks like. Okay, so our quiche has cooled, and I'm going to cut it, show you what it looks like on the inside. So you can see it's really soft and delicious. So thank you so much for stopping by Butterfly Meadows today. I hope you'll try this recipe, and I hope you enjoy it. Leave me a comment and let me know if you try it and if you liked it. Bye-bye.